Hey beautiful people, what's going on today? What's going on with you? Also, how is the music? Is it too loud? What are you reading right now? I am reading this book. I'm listening to a meditative lo-fi playlist. Hey Aaron. Oh, thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. What is this new heart? I ask every time. It says team. Oh, that's okay, Aaron. Honestly, I just want to hang out, maybe ask you some questions, and think through some things. The God Delusion, yes, by Richard Dawkins. It's quite an interesting book. It's teaching me a lot. I've only read bits of it before. I've never read it cover to cover. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for the gifts. But yeah, it's teaching me a lot. Like I said, I've only read bits of it, and now reading the whole thing, especially this reprint of it with an essay, like an introductory essay to this new reprint, that includes the critiques of the book when it first came out and Dawkins' response to those critiques, which is really interesting. Thank you, All Is All. That's funny that your name is All in all caps. All, because that's in the Kybalion, which is a book we've been discussing lately. How do you feel about Manly P. Hall? Hey, Ethan. Manly P. Hall? Not a huge fan, if I'm going to be honest with you. Guys, let's take a moment to appreciate and welcome our beloved and deeply and sorely missed sponsors. The unnamed, unbranded, all natural, with no added sugars, mango orange juice. Yes. Fantastic. The juice is back. I'm here for mysteries, man. You want a mystery? There's this temple in Lebanon called Baalbek. It was a temple that was destroyed and then rebuilt and built on top of by the Romans, redubbed like a house of Jupiter, and it's one of the oldest like houses of Jupiter on Earth, Baalbek. The original stones are so massive. They're, I think, some of the biggest stones on the Earth, like building stones. And no one really knows how they transported them, how they moved them and put them in place and used them to build this temple. That's how massive they are. It's a huge mystery as to how these megaliths were moved and used to construct this temple, Baalbek. I will take you there one day. I promise. It's gonna happen. I had planned for it to happen already, but the universe has other plans. But we'll go eventually at the right time. That's a mystery. Someone said, I moved them megaliths because I am so strong it was me. You are Chuck Norris right now. If it was anyone, it was Chuck Norris. I am writing a book. I don't know. I don't even know where these offers came from, honestly. I can't write a book about something I don't know about. Not that, because of course you can. You can write fiction, but it's different. There's nothing to write, actually. That's the thing. There's nothing to write about what happens after, because it doesn't happen in the realm of the understanding of this awareness that we have. Whatever happens, if anything happens, is completely beyond, at this point, our intellectual or sensual, sensory capacities. So there's nothing to write about. It wouldn't be something that would be written. The Tao that can be spoken is not the true Tao. What do you dislike about Manly P. Hall? I don't dislike Manly P. Hall. I'm just not into that style of writing. I've read a lot of occultists and occult literature, and honestly, a lot of it is, I don't want to say hogwash, but, you know, just because I want to respect the people and all the time they put into what they did. But Mans was like capitalizing every letter, every word he wanted, the first letter of every word, just making it proper noun, just making proper nouns left and right. Same thing with the Kabbalion, too. I have a lot to say about the Kabbalion. I'm very excited to reread the Kabbalion. I consider every human being an alchemist, whether aware or unaware, constantly in transmutation, transmuting other things into other things. So in one way or another, everyone is an alchemist. Yeah, I'll share it. I'll share the playlist on Discord. And if you're not in our Discord already, why aren't you? Oh, thank you. Thanks for that. Love the cowboy look for me. Have the rich and famous of our world mastered alchemy? Yeah, likely. Whether, they know it or not. I mean, at this point, alchemy has become such a catch-all term, so we're not really saying much. Yes, the Twitchyverse Discord. Come check us out. How can I master alchemy? One easy way, not easy, but quick way to master alchemy or start to embody a true observer is to, in moments when you feel triggered and you want to react or respond with something petty or get on someone's level or give them a taste of their own medicine or put yourself in that combative mindset, when you're in that moment, to choose to do or say anything out of absolute love. Like literally anything. Do or say, like hug the person, or I don't know, stop and say I love you out of nowhere. I don't know. Depends on your context, but try that. It's not easy, but it is quick and it can be easy. It's not that it's difficult. It's not difficult either. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm saying it's not easy, but it's also not difficult. It is easy, or it can be easy, if you just convince yourself up here that you're gonna do it. If you just tell yourself that, all right, I'm just gonna do that. I feel really triggered right now. You know what? I love you. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Not saying I'm triggered, but just saying or doing any expression of love, any affectionate or compassionate expression, and removing yourself from that situation. If you can't remove yourself physically, removing yourself energetically, not engaging anymore with the conversation or whatever it is that you want to do, however you want to disengage. But challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to do that. When you feel like you're going to say something petty, say something extremely sweet instead. And just see what happens. That's one way to tap into your inner alchemist. It's a challenge, but it's not difficult. Big Chiefy said, but sometimes people need to be checked. Unless somebody is immediately causing you harm, I don't see why we should take on the authority of deciding when someone needs to be checked. You guys, I have a question for you. Do you think that somebody can be all evil? Do you think somebody can just be utterly awful, unredeemably just terrible person, just completely unlovable? Do you believe that anyone is entirely unlovable? Some people say yes. Some people say no. Sadly, yes. Everyone deserves love. I agree. You'd have to be a monster. Well, what is a monster? I have found the most evil person believes that he is doing good in his own mind. That's a good insight, CJ. There's an episode of Star Trek like that where the Enterprise, I think, is attacking a planet. They think that they are defending themselves against it when it turns out they're actually killing her children or something like that and ruining the entire ecosystem of the planet. Yeah, so that's a cool perspective. I've never met anyone that I believe to be wholly unworthy. Well, you're lucky, Lindsay. You're very lucky. I have met some people that you wouldn't want to forgive. No, but I don't actually feel that way, to be totally honest. But I have felt that way, in moments about them. What's your background? Please answer. It's a mushroom tapestry and a tapestry of the moon tarot card. They interviewed the worst criminals, mafia people. Very interesting. These chat rooms are like streams of our unconscious mind. I agree, and I also really enjoy it. It is like a stream of consciousness writing. Thank you. Thank you guys for the gifts and the hearts. What's one philosophical truth you find to guide you more than the rest? One philosophical truth. Change is the only constant. Everything is always changed. Change is always taking place. It's the only thing we know for sure. I am changing. Change every day. I change into a cat. Thoughts on Aleister Crowley? I am not a fan. I think he was a little bit delulu. A little too delulu. A little delulu is good. A lot of delulu not so good. If you could make one eternal truth known to the masses to incite a change, what would you say? Who are the masses? Do you use trance meditation? Not really. The Anunnaki. The Anunnaki are the judges of the underworld, I believe. In ancient Sumeria, Anunnaki is one translation for the 7 judges of the underworld. Do you teach classes? Yeah, from time to time. Come to Discord or subscribe to my mail list and you'll get updates, mostly in Discord. There is some crazy stuff in this chat. Do the Anunnaki have anything to do with the 7 sisters? The 7 sister Pleiades? They might, actually. Because like I said, they're the 7 judges of the underworld. The story of Inanna and Ereshkigal, or Ishtar and Ereshkigal, is a sort of astrological a mythologization of astrological or astronomical events. Yeah. The 7 judges of the underworld may be the 7 stars of the Pleiades. They might have to read more about that, to be honest. Because the only thing I'm sure of, to a degree, is that Ishtar is the morning star, Inanna is the morning star. They're all different personifications of Venus. And they're always female until Lucifer, until Latin. Hebrew too, I guess. Son of morning. David is the son of morning. But in the more ancient and less European traditions, Venus was a woman. I have read Manly P. Hall, and as Ethan said, his book is silly like his name. Most cultists' work is kind of silly. You know, they'll sometimes strike something, but most of it is like making sense out of a whole lot of nonsense. It's a whole lot of nonsense, and we gotta make sense out of it, essentially. Do you remember any of your other past lives? Yeah, I go live every like 4 or 5 days on average. I'm just kidding. No, I don't know. What made you want to study alchemy? What do you mean? I was 19 and I heard that for the last 2,000 years, people have been trying to turn metal into gold and nobody was talking about it. What? What do you know about Vedic culture? Not much. Really only the Bhagavad Gita. I haven't read the Vedas. I'm going to take a moment to mention our beloved and beautiful sponsors of the night and every night who we deeply missed. The unnamed, unbranded, all-natural mango orange juice with no added sugars. Yeah. Gotta flex the juice. I love juice. Juice is so underrated. It's crazy. It's mango orange. People go out and drink alcohol. Why? Why aren't you drinking juice? Thank you, Ellington. What's the best way to keep your faculties in check when delving into bottomless pits of knowledge? Great question, William. Because when you read, especially if you're reading esoteric books, occult books, hermetic books, religious books, or really any books sometimes, it can be so easy to start believing everything you're reading and forget that it was written by a human being. Sometimes you're reading something like, say, the Kabbalion or the Hermetica, and it has such an authoritative, cryptic, confident voice that you think, oh, this must be hiding some deep, profound truths. I really need to pay attention to this. That's really what gets your faculties out of check, I think, most of all. Because then you start getting lost in all these different things and you think everything is real, but nothing is real, and everything just becomes so confusing. What's important is to remind yourself that this book was written by a human being, an average mortal, just like you and I, who lived in a particular context, in a specific place in the world, at a specific time, with a certain level of knowledge and a certain amount of knowledge at their disposal, and they were writing for a certain purpose. And I think the best thing to do is, when you feel ungrounded or like your faculties are out of check, to stop and ask yourself, wait, okay, who wrote this book? This person. All right, where are they from? Where did they live? What was their context? Did they write other things? Were they political? Were they privileged? Were they not privileged? Essentially bring yourself back to the reality and the context of the thing that you are exploring. Was Hermes Trismegistus historically real? Great question. No one is really sure. No one really knows. There was a Hermes, a Greek Hermes, and there was a Thoth, an Egyptian Thoth, like as mythical characters, demigods or gods. Thoth is more of a demigod, and Hermes is more of a god, full-on god, but he's more of a psychopomp. Hermes Trismegistus is a Greco-Egyptian mashup of Hermes and Thoth. Whether or not this was a real person, no one is really sure, but he has been spoken of a lot, mentioned a lot. I would assume that there probably have been, and there were, inspirational and wise people throughout history who inspired people and who people saw as heroes and who people looked up to, and that was a thing, and they were probably less common a long time ago. In biblical times, or in Greek times, or ancient Egyptian times, it was less common for people to be literate, for example. Only a very small minority of people were literate for a very long time. Elian, why the gods left us here? They didn't leave us here. We're here. We're just here. We have nothing to do with them. Can you sum up your belief in God? What God? What's your take on consciousness and its correlation to the various mythologies? That's a good question. I agree with Jung that myth lives in our collective unconscious. When I read mythology before bed, I have more vivid dreams. Yeah, it's a Jungian approach. I think Hermes Trismegistus and Lao Tzu may have been the same man. You know, daydreams manifesting. I would argue that most Hermetic and religious thought throughout the whole world originated in the Far East and traveled west over the ages and underwent just mutation after mutation, transformation after transformation, interpretation after interpretation. Because if you read the Tao, there are hundreds of translations for it. Every translation seems to create whole new avenues of meaning. But then you consider that first line of the Tao, which is that the Tao that can be spoken of is not the true Tao, meaning all the words in the world won't amount to the right sound, the secret sound, the secret chord of David. There is no, we can't play the secret chord, or maybe we can only vibe with the secret chord, harmonize with the secret chord. That's what Om is, probably. Our harmonization with the secret sound. Yeah, everyone seems to have their version of the Tao. Everyone has their interpretation of the Tao. And Hinduism as well, I think. There are lots of theories about how the Hindu language influenced Hebrew and Arabic, so who knows? Yeah, Sanskrit, sorry. I meant Sanskrit, the Hindu language. I got a feeling you make your own soap. No, my grandma makes it for me. The author of my faith, the captain of my soul. Oh, where is that from? I recognize that. Do you mean mentor grad students? I mean, if someone I'm mentoring happens to be a grad student, I guess at this point I could mentor grad students since I'm almost done my PhD. What's the last book you read? Good question. Oh, this. Like book, as in novel. PhD on what? PhD on Palestinian political identity. So yeah, I read this. This is a great little story. It's so good. It's so sweet. It's so short. It's a little book. And it's the story of a girl and her mother. The girl is half Greek, half British. Her mother is British. Her father is Greek. Her parents are divorced. Her mother has some sort of condition with her legs. And they're in Spain trying to figure out what's wrong. They go to Spain because the best bone doctor on earth is there and they're going to try his method. And it is just a fantastic story. So, yeah. Last novel, Hot Milk by Deborah Levy. Do you think homegirl Ereshkigal will see the land of the living or find a way to experience it? I think she did a little bit before she got banished or, appointed as a ruler of the underworld. She had her fair share. What do you think of Campbell's hero's journey? I think it's on point. I think it is self-evident in a lot of literature and popular fiction. The arc is self-evident. The arc of the story. Do you think women should be preachers and ministers? You mean for the church? I don't think anybody should be working for the Christian church. Who's your favorite poet? I have a lot of favorite poets, but I guess E.E. Cummings is probably up there. Gibran, also probably up there in the top 5. Yeah, top 5, there's Gibran, E.E. Cummings, in no particular order. Yeats, Mahmoud Darwish, and Walt Whitman. How do you deal with the impulsivity of ADHD? A lot of meditation. I've been actively dancing with and working with my ADHD for as long as I can remember. Story, please. Y'all keep asking for stories. Should we tell a story? I can't think of any stories. No stories come into mind. I'm not gonna lie to you. Maybe I'll tell you the story of the Arabian Nights. Or no, actually. Or maybe yeah. Story of my broken heart. Damn. Yeah, it's crazy in here. It's crazy. I'm really interested in it. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's quite interesting. Like I said earlier, and this is a firm core philosophy that I live my life by. Everything is a reflection of yourself. And right now, this chat is a reflection of my internal world. And as you can see, there was a lot going on. I am being asked to learn about the Prophet Muhammad. Who is asking? It's very hard to be philosophical when you live in the third world. No, it's not. It's a lot easier. I'm from the third world, and we're all philosophers out there. Everybody is a philosopher. Can you discuss about Cain and Abel? Well, what's there to discuss? Cain killed Abel. What's the topic today? No topic. Just chaos. Just vibes. No topic. Just vibes. Why Abel was preferred? Well, he wasn't. If Abel was preferred, he'd have survived. Funny how everyone we think God prefers ends up dead. Dying a horrible death, mind you. All stories are internal maps of alchemy. They are. I love the underworld stories too. No reason, just vibes. Do you belong to a particular belief system? No. What do you mean by the dreams are in the shadow realm? What does the shadow realm look like? A lot of what I learned by myself, Alexa. I did read a lot of things specifically for school that led me into other more interesting things. But on the whole, I do my own research all the time. And I always have since I was very young. Is atheism the shadow of religion? Atheism is, if anything, the silver lining of religion. The fact that the whole world is built on endless massacres in the name of religion, that is the shadow of religion. The violence that was caused and inspired by it. Am I my brother's keeper? Tips on how to become a better student. I mean the basics. Pay attention in class, take notes, and review those notes when you get home. Jesus never wrote anything, Frank, so you don't have to wonder. Is it important to be religious? Not at all. But it is important if you are religious, because religion holds on to you, takes hold with both hands. How many names does Jesus have? Good question, Carlos. I'm not even sure, but many. Does religion do more good or more bad? Today, bad. Yeah, there's a whole little gospel about Jesus' childhood. Apocrypha. It's like fan fiction. My Jesus was white. He was white. He had blue eyes. Yeah, Enoch is fan fiction as well. What's considered fan fiction? I mean, honestly, it's all fiction, but you can consider the Holy Book, the Marvel, like the comic series, the OG comics, the Marvel or the DC main storyline. And then the Apocrypha are like all the fan fiction about, all the stuff on Wattpad and whatnot. So like both are fiction, but one is like the OG fiction. Like these are the stories and the world of Marvel and DC. My Jesus was beautiful and greater than color. Oh, it's terrible? Damn. I need Bonnie's input. Jesus was a Palestinian who spoke Aramaic. You guys care way too much about identity. You care way too much about where people are from, what they believe, or where they grew up. None of that shit matters. No one is from anywhere, and everyone is from everywhere. All of us are indigenous to somewhere. Just stop caring about that shit. All of this identity stuff, especially the nationalism, that's all there to distract you. It's all there to distract us. So that we forget that we're all just one people trying to live our lives, trying to get that bread, trying to have a good time, trying to be with the people we love, trying to be happy. All of us. We all want the same things. All speak the same language of desire. It doesn't matter where Jesus was from. It doesn't matter where you're from. You're from your mother's womb. Where your mother's womb happened to be on the face of this earth. It doesn't matter. I am out here telling you to forget nationalisms. And you say, are you Lebanese? You've been single for a while, haven't you? Boys who don't listen, they've been single. That's how you know. You find a man who listens and is single, know that he's recently broken up. And he's been with someone for a while. She taught him. Can you do a video on the Epic of Gilgamesh? Yes. We're gonna read Gilgamesh on a live sometime. Not tonight, but sometime. Maybe in the next couple of days. It is politics. It's all mechanisms of division. Nationalisms are mechanisms of division. Like Lebanon, Palestine, Syria, Jordan. Before Sykes-Picot, 1916, there were no lines. There were no borders, like national borders between these places. There were administrative centers around in different cities. This is something I'm going to talk about eventually once I finish my PhD, because this is what my PhD is about. The imagined sense of belonging. That Benedict Anderson essay is pretty legendary. Thank you for bringing it up. Nations are, he called them imagined communities. It is a population of people that you imagine, based on no fact whatsoever, all share some sense of interest or belief or way of life as you do. And there's this imagined sense of familiarity, like you and all the people within this imagined border are somehow family. Yeah, this actually came about the printing press and the distribution of languages and a bunch of different factors that all came together. But essentially, nations are imagined communities, and they are most of all efficient ways for people in power, systems of power, to tally up where we are, who we are, how many of us there are, what kind of market we look like, both labor and consumer market, because that's what populations are, labor and consumer markets. Meow. You heard her? Mimi, little one, where are you? You. Yushka. Shout out to the Anunnakis. Or should I say Anunnakis? Enki. Enki's the man. Enki is father of men. Father of all, creator of all men. Beautiful people, let's just take a moment to hear from our sponsors who make everything possible, who make our time together here possible. The unnamed, unbranded, all natural mango, orange juice with no added sugars. Did you guys know that Portugal is named after the Arabic word for orange? Portugal. You did know? Damn. Well, that made it a lot less interesting. Never made the connection. Do you want us to read some poetry? Yes, all right. We are down for poetry. I Carry Your Heart, Emily Dickinson. All right, let's do I Carry Your Heart first, because it's a beautiful one. Poetry, let's go. All right, you guys ready? We're going to start with I Carry Your Heart with Me. I carry it in. I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. I am never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear. And whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful you are my world, my true. And it's you are whatever a moon has always meant, and whatever a sun will always sing is you. Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root, and the bud of the bud, and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than the soul can hope or the mind could hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. Where do you find all the interesting info you share with us? Books, my dude. Books and books. Books and endless books. This is not a lot of books, Alexa. This isn't even all the books on my desk right now. I didn't even show you the rest of the mess of this desk. The rest of this mess of a desk. And then there's some in the living room. But I don't have books here in Canada. My books are in Lebanon, in my room. There are the books. What do you think of the Zohar? I think it's a lot like the rest of all the mystical stuff that was popping up around that time. And it was like I was saying earlier, yeah, when you read these things, remember that they were written by mortal men, mostly males. They're interesting and they're cool, but keep yourself grounded in the context. Thoughts on Zoroastrianism, also interesting. But I blame them for the duality we live in, the illusion of duality we live in right now. This good-bad dichotomy. What is a mystical item from history that you like? The Holy Grail. I really like the Arthurian legends. I would love to have a one-on-one conversation with you. Well, you can book a Twitchy trip, one of my guidance sessions. Oh, it's 11:11. Nice. It's a sign. You guys need a reading from me. You either need me to read your tarot cards, read your dreams, or give you some guidance on your spiritual journey. Why do you like the Holy Grail? I like the imagery. I like it as a symbol. I like the Arthurian legends. I like the stories and the knights and the quest and having to find the true Grail, and the fact that I think his nephew turns out to be the one who's the purest of heart, who finds the real Grail, or who the Grail appears to. That's why I like the Grail. You do be giving Gwendolyn. Nice. Reasons I like the Epic of Gilgamesh, because it's a good story. Is Gilgamesh Noah? No, but Utnapishtim is, like an earlier version of Noah. Noah is like an adaptation or an appropriation of Utnapishtim. Yes, Gilgamesh was in Iraq. Iraq still has the name that Gilgamesh's city was named, Uruk. Every culture has a flood story. Not every single culture, I think, but many around the world, yes. Does that mean that there was a global flood? No. But it does mean that there have been moments of regional flooding. Like, one of the oldest flood myths is written sometime after geologically evidenced regional flooding, river flooding in, I think, northern Iraq. Southern Iraq, actually. I don't know. In Iraq, somewhere. But this is a regional flood. Yeah? Not global flood. It's just a river flooding. That probably happened in lots of places around the world. Rivers flood. That happens. It rains for a long time sometimes. And I'm sure that in people's collective imagination, as the story was told over and over centuries, and as it was transmuted and moved from civilization to civilization, it changed. Now, there's no regional flooding in the Levant. Like, there isn't anything around that time except that flood, that river flood in somewhere in Iraq or in ancient Babylonia, etc. Not in biblical times. So that story's adapted. And it probably just got bigger over time, right? Like, it's a long game of telephone. You have to also keep in mind, like, how long people were telling these stories out loud before they were written down. Just let your logic, your reason figure out whether or not there's truth or meaning or whatever. Like, if that's what we should be looking for, as much as we should just be observing this as psychic material. This is how these stories exist in our mind. This is what we have to work with. They're not true. They're not historical fact. We're not trying to claim any kind of heritage to the people mentioned in them, because the people mentioned in them are fictional characters. We need to chill. هل تعرفين أرطبة؟ Cordoba. Ah, yeah. There was a school, right? An important Islamic school there. Can you make things float? I'm floating right now. Did you think I was sitting down? No. You say you want curly bangs with some volume, some layers for volume. And you want them to be curtain curly bangs so that they gradually get a little longer as they go down your face. Exactly, Hossein. The whole world is, we're all floating right now. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There was a school, there's a very famous Islamic school in the city of Cordoba. Where does your inner confidence come from? Eliance Musk. Didn't you watch the video? Do you think that there is a possibility of intersection of faiths without violence? Only if the intersection creates a diffusion. All of the religions that have come together fall away. They either merge into one giant religion, or they all just melt off of us and we transcend them together. Because when we saw each other in comparison, one against the other, we realized how we were all the same. And somewhere along the line, we were convinced otherwise. You are convinced that the Quran is one book and the Bible is another. They are not. The Quran is just merely one version, slightly extended director's cut of the Bible, if you will. We're all the same. It only doesn't work because there are people who have a vested interest in capitalizing on people's fears and using those fears to encourage them to stay in their ignorance and remain in fear of the other and remain in belief of a god, a dogma, an ideology, a way of life that is somehow going to redeem them in the next life. That's how you control people, by promising them something tomorrow if they do something today. It's like hanging a carrot in front of a donkey's face. That's what religion does to us. It hangs a carrot in the direction it wants you to go, and you follow. You'll get that carrot in paradise. Not here. I will gladly pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today. Literally. Do you do white magic? I don't believe in that white magic, black magic, gold magic, definitely quicksilver magic, teal with a pink lining magic. Sorry, I don't need to make fun of anybody. I just rainbow magic. Yeah. Off gray, off white magic. Life is magic. All of life is magic, and it comes in all the colors. And all the colors are in every bit of magic that you cast. From white to black. All of it. Egg white magic. Oh, you guys are too good. Beige magic. Pastel blue magic. The magic palette. Ooh, yeah. The red book is great for an ego death. Actually, you guys, as wild as this chat is tonight, I am gonna head out. Probably grab some dinner. I'm feeling hungry. Oh, you saw the baseball video. I love that video. I haven't thought about it in a while. Anyways, you guys, I love you. You're awesome. This was a lot of fun. A little nuts, but still a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you, Alexa. You too. Have a great night, you guys. See you later. How do you meditate? I sit down somewhere where I'm comfortable. I sit up straight and I meow.